the food delivery she sent to back entrance at 12:26 a.m. At 12:26 a.m., my phone lit the kitchen like a guilty aquarium. Thanks for your order delivered. Back entrance Magnolia House. I hadn't ordered anything. We share the card because we share a life, and I learned long ago that the apps do care which one of us is hungry. The receipt expanded under my thumb with the bored authority of software. 2 tiramisus, 1 sparkling water, note to driver, please leave by the black door, no knock. It wasn't our door. Magnolia House is the boutique hotel 5 tram stops downriver, the one with the floral wallpaper that looks expensive on purpose. We'd been once, years ago, to eavesdrop on a jazz trio and laugh at people who were better at pretending. Lena had said she'd be studio late, her polite hyphen for don't wait up. She designs light for rooms that want to look like truth. I make rooms sound like they remember what they're for. We're good at performance. It's our punishment and our skill. The app icon pulsed, eager to help me feel informed. I went to the sink and drank water that tasted like metal and memory. There was a message field under the receipt, a bubble where you can thank a stranger for following instructions. I typed nothing. I stared at the words back entrance until they stopped meaning anything. I didn't call. I grew up in a house where midnight was a place you walked around, not through. I sat on the counter instead, bare feet on cool tile, and watched the clock prove it wasn't on my side. At 1:11, the lock turned. The hallway light slid under the door like a reporter. Lena came in with a softness around her mouth that meant she'd been rehearsing a brave face and got bored. "You're up," she said, not surprised. "Gotta push," I said, "dessert." She put her keys in the bowl we pretend doesn't sound like judgment. "Let's not have the first sentence be a weapon," she said. "Kitchen or small room?" We have a small room, rug that forgives, lamp with bad taste, 2 pillows that learned our faces. "Kitchen," I said. "Let the appliances testify." She leaned against the counter next to me, hip to hip, both of us pretending not to make contact. "Magnolia House lobby has a light installation the sponsor wanted me to see after the staff left," she said. "He claims it changes your sense of time. It doesn't. It changes how much you want to be watched." He ordered food. I changed the address. I asked the driver to use the back so the lobby wouldn't become a scene. A pause she didn't try to dramatize. I kissed him once outside in the cold, where air could keep me from lying to myself about heat. It tasted like the river trying to be Italian. Then I came home. "What did you want?" I asked, because the answer to that is the only one that doesn't metastasize. "To see if the part of me that still says yes to doors with wallpaper was dead," she said. "She is. She's also not fun to live with." My reply learned restraint at the same speed my breathing had to. "Do you want him?" I managed. "I want the way rooms behave around him," she said. "He's good at making chairs think they chose you, but that's furniture theater. I don't want his mornings." I took out 2 forks because I couldn't think of anything less heroic than eating someone else's dessert, and yet felt compelled to do something with my hands that wasn't dramatic. I sliced the naked air between us. "Storm or quiet?" I asked, our crude code for how to proceed. "Quiet," she said, "then maybe storm." We ate the first tiramisu like a task we were qualified for. It was excellent in the way things are when they were never meant for you and you decide to be rude to that idea. I watched powdered sugar gather at the corner of her mouth and inspected my heart for reasons not to want to kiss it off. I found none that would stand up in court. I did nothing. "We'll write rules," she said, as if she had already bought the paper. "On the menu, like always, it's stupid, it works." Truth before deliveries, I wrote with the stub of a pencil we keep for receipts. She added, if a back entrance is involved, I say the front of it out loud here first. I wrote, if you need to kiss someone to prove you don't want them, tell me before your mouth does field work. She circled before, then underlined tell. Storm, she said after, and there was an apology in it I didn't want and a request I did. We kissed like we were trying to change the lighting without moving the fixtures. Her mouth found my name at the place under my ear, the map I never forget, the one you don't get to redraw without my consent. She put her hands under my shirt and pressed her palms flat, a calibration more than a claim. I lifted her onto the counter, and the lemon we'd ignored slid toward the sink like a volunteer witness. We were careful, then less so, then careful again, because desire without precision is a stunt and we're not amateurs. We stopped while yes still felt like choosing, not proving. When our foreheads were touching and the room had learned our temperature, I opened the app and refunded the tip because I am petty inside routines. Lena laughed, soft and wrecked and unashamed. He'll think the driver stole his charm, she said. He can afford to be wrong. The next morning my phone offered me a map of the delivery route as if the past were a tour. I pressed X and watched it behave. Work asked me to fake the acoustics of a cathedral in a gymnasium, and I said yes because faith has to start somewhere. At lunch, I walked past Magnolia House for reasons that pretended to be errands. The back entrance was just a door with a scuffed handle and a sign that said staff, because irony has an excellent sense of humor. I touched the brass I imagined a stranger had touched and to my surprise felt nothing special. A door is a door. It waits. People decide. 2 days later, the app chirped again. Order scheduled, 7:30 p.m., 2 coffees, 1 slice. My chest practiced its old trick and then didn't get away with it. The address was our place. The driver left a box with the Good Bakery stamp. Inside, 1 slice of tiramisu, a note in her sharp handwriting, for controlled variables. I took a photo and edited nothing and sent it to her. She hearted it, then wrote, "Tonight quiet," I wrote, "and the other thing if we earn it." For a week, nothing cinematic happened. We did work like citizens. She built a room that listened to the ocean. I made the ocean remember it was a machine with good manners. We held hands in the frozen food aisle and pretended it was a ritual, not logistics. At 1:20 a.m., when the bad thoughts tried to borrow the car again, she pressed her mouth to my collarbone and said, "Don't start without me." I said, "Then come here," and she did. And the night learned that even cliché can be saved by sincerity. Of course, the city is petty. We saw him at a donor's night where wine auditioned for personality. He raised his glass in a gesture invented by civil men who want to be tolerated. We raised water and didn't make it a parable. Later he approached with a face that had practiced being told no and hated that it liked learning. "I owe you a refund," he said to me, surprising himself by failing to be glib, "for a dessert I didn't get to eat." "You can Venmo the driver," I said, and he smiled because he knew a decent line even when it was pointed at him. He looked at Lena the way expensive balconies look at the city and said, "Your rooms don't need me." It wasn't noble. It was accurate. He left before we had to be good to him again, which is a talent I respect because I've never had it. We got even better at our idiotic menu rules. We added, no food meant for bars in our kitchen unless it's ours. And if the night wants to rehearse itself at Magnolia, we rehearse in the small room instead. We baked something from scratch once, failed, ate it anyway, declared it tradition. Then the app betrayed me with honesty in a new way. "Order set by Owen," it said one evening, my own name accusing me across a screen. I hadn't. My thumb had slipped in a half-sleep scroll and scheduled espresso for 2 at midnight. The address was our place. When the knock came, I opened the door in sweatpants and a stunned heart. The driver handed me 2 cups with lids that say, in a font that thinks it's charming, "Stay awake for what matters." I laughed like a man whose chest had finally gotten the joke. I carried them into the small room where Lena was already sitting cross-legged. We drank coffee we didn't need and wondered if this is what adulthood was supposed to feel like, making mistakes in the right direction. A month later, I got a push from an app I never open. "You've reached gold on Magnolia House rewards." The insult was clean and elegant. I showed her. She rolled her eyes and opened her laptop and typed the email you write when you want a machine to understand dignity. "Kindly remove my profile and any tokens stored on your servers," she wrote. "Delete saved addresses. Consider a feature that prevents shared cards from scheduling weirdness at midnight. Also, Room 3 prefers darkness. Your lobby lighting is lying to it." They replied with a coupon code and a compliment. We deleted both. Once on a bored Sunday, she took me to Magnolia Flatout. No pretense, no donor speech. We walked in the front like people who exist. She showed me the installation in the lobby that had allegedly changed her sense of time. It was beautiful and so in love with itself, I wanted to applaud and then ask it to leave. We stood under it together until it became less interesting. She leaned into me and I put my hand on the small of her back, and we occupied the kind of quiet hotels can't advertise. Then we went home, on purpose. We still eat dessert we didn't order sometimes. Most nights we don't. When the kitchen lights are wrong, I move the dimmer not because a sponsor taught me, but because I know the angle of her yes. When the river makes promises it can't keep, we open the window and let it try anyway. The app still thinks we want to be loyal to places with wallpaper and back doors. It pings us with coupons that imagine we're bored with our own rooms. Last night at 12:26, my phone buzzed again. "Delivered back entrance." I laughed before I swiped, which is progress. The address read our building. A driver had left a paper bag by our back stairwell, a dumb private joke to prove something to no one. Inside, 2 tiramisus, 1 note on a napkin. "Front entrance next time. Truth first." We ate them in the small room under the lamp that keeps trying to be honest. She slid into my lap and said "storm" like a dare she intended to fulfill. I put my hand where the storm lives and the apartment, bless it, did what good houses do, held and kept and learned. We stopped because we wanted to want again tomorrow. We fell asleep with sugar on our tongues and the night finally remembering the one useful thing it can do. End. I don't think about the back entrance anymore except when I need a metaphor that isn't lazy. Doors wait. People choose. The app will always be needy. My phone will always be eager to draw a map of the kind of mistake we can't quite afford. My wife will always have a mouth that can ruin expensive wallpaper. And I will always keep forks where I can reach them, just in case the future behaves and arrives at our front door with something sweet we didn't plan and still decide to share.